Welcome, everyone, to the Kentuckiana Travel Ball Podcast. I'm proud to announce we are powered now by Guardian Baseball. Guardian Baseball is an online retailer of better baseball equipment and better prices than you can find in the big box stores. We're going to get more into this. We're going to do a lot of great stuff with Guardian. We're going to give away some product. We're going to give away some promo codes. Listen, Guardian's created by baseball people. It's guys that have been in the game, that know baseball, and it understands the needs of the current players. So we're really, really excited that Guardian has come on board as the official sponsor of the Kentuckiana Travel Ball Podcast. My name is T. Gridge. As always, I am joined by Rick Hines.
What's up, everybody?
So today we have two special guests that I'm extremely excited about, and a lot of you guys have reached out and said, "Hey, you got to have these guys on." So your requests are met here. We have Mr. Shawn Johnson and John Alvey. Shawn's in studio. What's up, man?
What do you say?
And then we got John on the phone. Can you hear us, John?
I can. My pleasure to be here.
Well, we are super excited because this is something that you guys have the Kentuckiana Elite Travel Ball rankings, and it's something that we, as Rick and I as coaches, has followed very closely for the past 2 years since you guys have done it. And before I get into this, I'm going to read the definition of what you guys do. Okay, so. Travel Ball rankings, administrators, coaches, players, and tournament directors weigh in with an unbiased opinion of travel baseball and softball team rankings. This is not limited to just elite travel ball teams. We rank all participants in travel ball. Everyone is ranked in their own divisions. This allows teams to make fair assessments when looking for tournaments, seeking evaluations, or simply wishing to gain knowledge of the travel ball landscape. It certainly has been something that's helped us. Shawn, let's start with you, man. So where did this come from? How did all this come about?
Well, probably 2007, but we haven't had the platform to do it.
Okay.
So I'll give you a short feedback story. 2007, we're the Indiana State runner-up in USSSA. We get the number one seed in a particular bracket.
No, this is the team you're coaching?
Yes,
okay.
Team I'm coaching.
All right.
Out of the blue, a team comes in. They're ranked in the bottom of the tournament. They steamroll everyone, including myself.
Okay.
So we had no data on that team whatsoever.
Okay.
So fast forward, now there's more tournaments.
Yep.
That's been in my crawl for 13, 14 years. What are we going to do about it?
Okay.
So not everyone's going to play U-Trip. That's just the way it is. Nothing wrong with that. We want everybody to experience everything throughout the state of Kentucky, Indiana,
Sure.
Ohio.
Yep.
How do we do a fair assessment when there's not A teams, AA, AAA, majors?
Okay.
You're going into tournaments. What are you going to do? You're going to call each other. What do you know about this team?
Yeah, sure. You play these guys.
If you look it up here, then you know.
Yeah.
If they have an A ranked by their name, but they're in the top 10, you probably know they're pretty good.
They're sandbagging.
Right.
So,
or they just haven't moved up. Or
that's the basis of it.
Got it.
Now, there are teams that will be in single A, AA, AAA that haven't moved up yet.
Right.
They could be on a bordering state where they can't come and play all the time, but they have open tournaments, say, in Johnsonville, Tennessee.
Okay.
So they could stay AA in Kentucky.
Yep.
But when they play in Kentucky, they're playing AAA in open tournaments.
Yeah, makes sense.
So if you see them as a AA team, you know that they're pretty good. That gives you a basis going into a tournament when you get the draw, or the tournament director tells you, because all good tournament directors will tell you who's in the tournament.
Yep.
That's the basis.
And that's why we like playing U-Trip. You see the list of teams that's
you know who
already registered, and we either want to show ourselves in that competition or not. Not.
John, so what tools are you guys using to rank these teams?
Well, a lot of it, and it depends on the age group, Teague. I usually have a couple of guys in each age group. And I myself, obviously, I'm not going to lie, we use the USSSA ratings going down the list. But we also have guys. I have one in, like, I'll give you 12U, for instance. I have a guy that's very, very detailed. Lives here in town. His son plays on a team, and he does a great job. He's very detailed. We've had as many as 3 or 4 in the past per age group help me out, especially spreading them out around the state. And I get opinions because obviously we can't go out. Obviously, we're not the AP poll
Sure.
in college football or basketball, so we don't have writers out there.
Sure.
But we get opinions. We talk to a lot of people. I mean, I probably have 220 coaches in my phone contact list.
Yeah, I understand. That makes sense.
Stuff like this, you have to.
And they're all agreeable, right?
No.
Well,
Or not, exactly.
you know what's interesting? So I feel like I could do the 11U. So Rick and I obviously coach an 11U team, and I feel like I could probably give you. And what's great is, so we've looked at each other a couple times and we're like, man, that's pretty spot on. That's pretty close. Yeah. Now I've got some beef with this week's, but normally we're like, man, this is pretty darn close. And I'm always kind of curious on where you're getting your info because, I mean, I know a couple teams. I know like a 10U Vipers Hammonds team. I know a 13-year-olds. I know the Cage King 12-year-old team, but I don't really know the whole entire landscape of all these different age divisions. So it's remarkable how well you guys do with this.
Well, keep in mind,
you have to give credit to the people that we asked to do this. I mean, we there, and I will give you an example in your all's age group. Obviously, I'm not going to name coaches or anything, but he had spreadsheets, had what they're doing over the course of the season. It was pretty remarkable how thorough. Because honestly, I have a 10-year-old son.
Okay.
And so I know most of you guys pretty well, but I could go in there and do the 10-year-olds pretty easily myself. I still have a guy out there, but I need help with 9s. I need help with 11s,
sure.
12s.
Sure.
The coach pitch divisions. And now we're starting into 13-year-olds, which you've already got people upset about that. Now they're out of school ball.
No.
We're going to start adding those guys. But I mean, and hey, we're going to miss teams. I mean, like Shawn said earlier, not everybody plays U-Trip. And
right.
I know there's plenty of good teams throughout the state and the rural areas of this great Commonwealth and into southern Indiana that for whatever reason they don't have the funds, that's too far, whatever, but they're pretty darn good baseball. I mean, there's a 10-year-old team that's hasn't played one U-Trip tournament, and I've begged them. Now they're going to play in the state tournament, and we may preview them later on.
Okay.
I mean, heard nothing. I haven't seen them. I've heard about them. But, I mean, that's an example of a team that is world beaters but has never played one U-Trip tournament. So, or an E-Town or whatever you
sure.
want to say is one of the big dog tournaments out there. So it can be tough finding them. And, yes, Shawn and I, every time these ratings go out, we have somebody, especially in the coach pick divisions where, hey, this is what we've done. It's hard. It's hard when you're playing 3 and 4 hours away. I mean, we're not going to see you, and it's not intentional.
And we invite, not to cut you off, John, but we invite everybody to send us their schedule.
Yep, the game changer.
Send us game changer. Send us what happened in a particular game.
Yep.
If I can tell you that when I reach out to a tournament director or I'm at a tournament myself, I'm watching all fields.
Yep.
We had 5 fields going on this weekend. I was at all 5 fields. And I know what happened on Saturday for a team to go 0-2. Well, they decided to play people out of position.
Sure.
They decided not to pitch everybody. They decided to go gung-ho on Sunday.
Sure.
We take that into account. So
Sundays when it matters.
Sundays when it matters. We get a ton of text messages and IMs and Facebook posts on Saturday. Hey, we just beat this team. Hey, we just beat this team. But then the next day, it's a different story. So Saturday does not mean as much as Sunday.
Well, what about weekday games? Because we took a loss to a team that we probably shouldn't have at one point during a weekday game, and we're like, oh, I wonder they're gonna see that, and if that takes an account. And what we did, we pitched a kid never pitched.
Right.
Walked 7 kids. So it was just one of those situations.
I look at, we have a USSSA league at ELS. So it's a straight UTRIP league. So whatever it does, it affects your power ranking, your points, your ratings in the state.
Sure.
It affects all that.
Yep.
I have coaches that use that strictly for getting kids better in positions.
Yeah.
Development.
That's what leagues should
Developing
be.
different pitchers.
That's
yes.
what that should be.
So if I know that going in, I have to understand if, say, I have Vipers Floyd in 11U and the J-Town Strike 11U going head to head, and I know they're using ace on ace Wednesday night because only one of them has a loss.
Because
they
don't want to lose each other.
No. One has a loss in the league to the other.
Sure.
And this is for all the marbles. That's going to mean something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If Floyd tells me, "Hey, Shawn, we're pitching 7 through 10," and strike, Ty says, "Hey, we're going, 1-2,"
Right.
makes a difference.
Yeah, sure.
So to answer your question, it all depends on the situation.
Okay.
But in most cases, 10% chance that it will affect the ranking. 90% it's not going to.
Makes sense. John, do you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you an example of in the 10U division, and I joked with him the other day. He won our bourbon barrel, Travis Foley and the Louisville Hornets.
Sure.
I don't know if there's a worse pool play team in the state, and I don't know if anybody on his team or himself listens to these podcasts, but
They will now, John. Thanks.
Well, you got them ranked 5th though here.
Than those guys. I mean, I can't tell you how many times. They're 0-2, and you're like, man, I don't know what you see a really lopsided score to something, and then all of a sudden back and they win the tournament.
Right.
And they beat the same team that might have 10-run them on Saturday.
Come back and win it as like an 8 seed,
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter that they play 3 games on a Sunday, and there's just certain teams and he's not alone. There's plenty of teams. I mean, I've got 3 sons, and I've seen teams growing up through my oldest down to my youngest, where you'll see a team that just, they're pretty. If you want to judge them on Saturday, you're not going to be real impressed. But come Sunday, they got arms and they find a way. They're just some teams are just gamers on Sunday, and then there's teams that go out there and are the king of 2-0s on Saturday, and the 1 seed, and they go out and lay an egg on Sunday for whatever reason. I mean, it happens. Yeah, I mean, there's no question. We try to definitely weigh Sunday over any other day of obviously of a tournament. And like Shawn said, most of these teams are throwing guys, especially when they know they've got a big tournament. I mean, if you're playing a league game this week, then you're not going to show a whole lot if you're playing in the state tournament this weekend. So
it's interesting. It comes down to pitching, right? Tiger Brown used to always tell me, look, we're at the age now where one kid can beat you. One swing, one kid on the mound, that's all they need. And then they can beat your team. Yeah. And you run into that now where you run into some dominant teams because of 1 or 2 players, not because their entire team. Like a team like J-Town Strike, from 1 to 11, those kids are all just fabulous, but they may run into a EKY Crusaders who has that one kid throwing at 70 miles an hour and goes hit the bomb, and that's your ball game. So it's interesting how obviously how all these
baseball.
rankings. It is baseball. It is baseball.
It's baseball across the board.
That is a really good point. Now, as you guys kind of look at all this, and obviously you study this data, you know the different age groups. What age group right now you think has the deepest pool of talent?
11U. I like 11 and I like 10.
I'm going to agree with you on 11.
I like them both. I'm just going to caveat before we're going to circle back.
Sure.
My son's 15.
Okay.
There's a team, I'm going to throw them out. Most of them's freshmen at Trinity now playing JV and varsity. And we used to beat that team on Saturdays all the time and Fridays, and we never lost to them.
Yep.
But they had 2 pitchers on Sunday.
Oh,
that
yeah,
always
man.
took out the 1 and the 2.
Yep.
So shout out to them. They know who they are. We're 5-0 against them on weekends on Saturdays, but they're 6-0 against us on Sundays.
Yep.
So
and that's when it matters.
That's when it matters. I like the 10-year-old group. I really like the 11-year-old group. I have a lot of games in the 10-year-old group. We have a 10-year-old bats team. We do have an 11-year-old bats team. I try my best to keep up with those 2 age groups the most. I'm most interested in if I come back to coaching, which is likely, I'm going to come back in one of those 2 age groups.
Awesome.
So after 24 years, I'm off this year. We do have 15-year-olds playing, but I'm not part of it. We have to do this, run tournaments, be at the state tonight. If I come back, it will be in the 10-year-old landscape that's this year that will be. You know what? I'm just going to announce it. I will be back next year, 2022.
He laid it out there.
I will be back 2022. We will
Watch out.
Laid it out.
have
Sean's
an
coming back.
11-year-old bats team.
Oh, there you go. All
here
right.
we go. I'm
right.
coming back. So my interest is in that. I like to, if you look back at my track record, every time that I start a new travel ball team, it's always 11.
Okay.
So
it makes sense. It's a good age to get into it for sure.
If you go back to that, then that's what I like. I like 10s and 11s. So we'll see.
John, how about you? What's the deepest crop of age here?
I'm going to go off and all of the age groups, I think, and I'm looking at 9 to 12, but I like our 12Us. I always have. They've always been a good group from when we started running tournaments together. It started at 10, 11, 12. Now, granted, at 12, you kind of lose a little bit of them because they're going to Cooperstown, doing Pigeon Forge. But I've always thought locally, and again, I may be being biased. I'm probably showing Louisville biased here. But overall, I mean, in this city, there's a ton of 12-year-old teams that are really good. I mean, really good. And, Kyle LeBar, I mean, obviously he's been playing up since he was 9 years old.
That's the Vipers team, right?
That's the right. Yeah. Obviously everybody knows him. The Blue Sox, the Cyclones, the Storm.
Definitely the Sluggers.
They're out there in Berea and Madison County. I mean, there's just so many.
The Wild Things, they're on a run right now.
Yes, yes.
Both the Legends teams. Neil Wilding's Vipers team is a very, very high AA team. I mean, even the A teams. I've watched these teams that I thought were so bad at one time. Mm-hmm. They're getting better and better, and I think there's a lot of. There's going to be some. It's going to be interesting. All these kids are now in at least 6th, in some cases 7th grade. I mean, they'll be in high. And the ones that live out in the counties, like in Oldham and Shelby, they may be playing high school baseball next year in some of the cases. So, I like all our groups. I mean, the 9U. We're going to start seeing these guys really come into form. I can't remember, honestly, with this 9U group, and we're spreading this out. This is a very interesting group from the standpoint. I think there's a lot of good 9U out in the state where we got good teams in Louisville, but sometimes I feel like, man, Louisville's king. Not 9U. There's some really good teams around the state. That I think over the course of the next several years, you're going to see a lot of AAA and major caliber teams. So everybody, the Vipers, Reynolds, I mean, that's probably they're a major team. There's a couple in Southern Indiana, the Southern Madison Sluggers, Nucci Varner, the South Lexington team. They came in here, and of course they're just starting up their getting ready for All-Star, so they throw their team together for the first time. They come over here and come into Louisville and win the Bourbon Barrel. I mean, there's across the board. I mean, it would be wrong to sit here and say, well, there's a weak division, because there's not. There really isn't. And
so let me get your all's opinion on this, John. So to me, the quality of a team really all kinds of starts from their coach. And when you look at our 11U crop, you look at a Vipers Floyd team. Obviously, that's Chris Burke. They're getting a ton of baseball knowledge from him. Then you go to the Strike, and you're looking at Ty Brown. There's another guy that played pro ball. Then you look at the Sting. You got Jason Betts with that. You look at even like the Sun Devils team, where you got Spencer Grader and Jurich, the coach of that team. There's a ton of baseball people in our 11U. Now, I'm sure that's the way in a lot of these other age groups is too. But I think that's one of the reasons 11U is so deep, is there's a lot of really high-end baseball people in that group. Now, would you all agree or disagree that it really kind of stems from the coach as far as how good these teams can be?
I do. But I also agree that, I will also caveat that by saying there's a lot of good coaches out there that haven't coached past the high school level and hasn't played pro ball and hasn't played college ball. the little league game is a different animal than the big league game. Yes, everything's the same. Techniques are the same. You're teaching the same. They're going to know more big league level stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you get to 13, 14, 15 and above. The Little League stuff, if you watch, let's just promote the Little League World Series for a second. If you watch those coaches, there are guys in there that are just grandpas that have stayed in the league for 10 years. The Texas guy from 5-6 years ago,
Yep.
He'd won every World Series
Yep.
ever created, and he never played a drop of college ball.
Yeah.
So, yes, I do agree. But I also agree that there's a lot of good coaches out
that's a
there
great point, Shawn.
that just doesn't need that.
You don't
great
have
point.
to be a former baseball player to be a good coach.
Well,
I was a very bad baseball player.
I was too.
Well, look, my sport was golf, and I played professionally, and I think I bring a lot of that to the table with these kids, that kind of professional mindset. But at the same time, to your point, we coach our kids at a pretty high level. Now, I take a lot of stuff from Rick Arnold. I take a lot of stuff from Zev and our Wolves organization. We take a lot of those philosophies, but we can coach our kids at a high level without playing professional baseball. So there's a lot of truth to that. I'm with you on that, Shawn. I think that's a great point. All right,
I just
John.
like to give credit to the young,
No,
to
you're
the
right.
guys that really put it in every day.
I think it makes perfect sense. All right, I want to know, and it was funny because we were sitting here getting ready to start, and you're like, oh, the phone's blowing up. Rankings came out today. What's the craziest thing a parent or a coach has said to one of you guys about these rankings?
John, go ahead.
God. I mean, guys, there's probably something every week. I mean, even today.
Every day.
I mean, oh gosh. I mean, I don't know if I can sit here and say, well, this lady from Nicholasville one time. I don't have that, that kind of exact story.
Sure.
I mean, I think, I would have to say honestly, it's the younger ages, and I kind of went over it earlier about, hey, we're doing this, and we've beaten this team, 12-2, and you've got them number 6, and we. I think where, and I don't know if this really is exactly what you're looking for, but I think where we get the most crazy stories is you find out, oh, maybe we better look at this team, or you get a story like that, and somebody sends something crazy, and you find out, well, guess what? They took 4 or 5 borrowed players, took 3 or 4 AAA major players and threw them together somewhere, and beat a bunch of and, we beat this. Well, could you beat that team if him and him weren't there?
Right.
Well, guess what? Crickets.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Crickets. I mean, honestly, Teague, that we get something every week. I know. I will tell you, I will never call anybody out, but right in your own age group, about 2 hours ago, Shawn had to respond to something that was just like, oh my gosh,
I can guess where that came from.
Yeah. He might have showed it to you. So I don't know. But
No,
I mean,
Shawn wouldn't do that, but we've got a
But
good
we
idea.
noticed somebody that wasn't in the rankings, and now they are. So.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying. I mean, it's week to week. If I could probably go back and look at all my IMs, because it's usually from people you don't have. It's always a parent, it's a mom, or sometimes a dad. Usually a coach doesn't get too involved, unlike this situation. But 9 times out of 10, you get an IM from somebody you've never heard of.
Right.
And go look. Oh, here we go. You see it.
Message
you
request.
Look at the profile picture and say, oh boy.
Here it goes.
Where it's from, and it's obviously it's in a rural part of the state usually. And again, we're not trying to ever not include those kind of teams, but we don't get the information, and
Sure.
it's not an exact science. I wish we did have people that could report, or a tournament director, and say, hey, Alvey, this is what happened at my tournament. Some do. We've got a couple that are not that do, but we don't know everybody.
Well, a lot of times they think they're in competition with us, and we're trying to send them and help them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're trying
Sure.
to help them and send them information about their teams. But craziest story. I'm going to tell you I have many, but I have been offered to be set up in a hotel, come to their tournament and watch their team
Wow,
play
okay.
to get higher rankings.
All right.
I have been told, hey, if we
Wow.
play in more of y'all's tournaments, does that help? No, it does not. I just like to answer some of those questions.
Sure.
I have had rec ball teams that will set out here and boat race anybody in a certain division and say, well, we're a rec team, we should be playing in A ball. Those are the stories that you get every day. That's you know, why are we're a rec ball team? Well, you can be a rec ball team and
Still be pretty darn good.
pretty
Yep.
darn good. Because last time I looked, that's where the J-Town Strike 11 came from.
Amen. Yes,
So,
sir.
That's probably the you know, the craziest stories. I mean, we're going to get every weekend of why something happened, why somebody got a trophy taken, or, you know, I had one this morning that didn't understand the revert back rules. Mm-hmm. She goes, well, we read the rules and it says if you make it to the fourth inning, it's a complete game. And I said, well, that's true, but it reverts back. You were the visiting team. You scored a run or 2 runs to take the lead. The home team didn't get to bat. It's not the way it works. You revert back to the third inning.
Okay, sure.
So you were losing in
Sure,
the third inning.
of course.
You didn't lose because we canceled the tournament.
Right.
Or the rain delayed it and then
Right.
canceled it. You didn't lose because of that. You lost because the game could not be finished, and you can't start a championship
How
game.
would somebody not understand that?
There are drop-dead tournaments that you play in, and it says you have an hour and 20 minutes to complete whatever you can. So if you flip the coin,
Gotcha.
you always take visitors.
Yeah, heck yeah. Amen to that.
So it's
good to know.
Sometimes people confuse rules.
Okay, well, that's interesting. So, again, though, craziest comment ever to you? I'm digging deep here, Sean. Come on, I need something good. I need something good here.
Well,
mean, any
you'd have to
threats or-
bleep me out and stuff like that. Yes, I've been told that I'm blind as a bat. We'll clean it up a little bit. I'm blind. I don't know anything about that. If you think this team can beat my team, something's wrong with you.
Oh, wow.
Their kids are. Here's the thing that gets me: personal attacks.
Sure.
We can talk about A teams all the way up to major teams. Come on, man. They're all kids.
Yeah. All the same age.
When they get to that, yes, I've been threatened. Yes, I've been, what tournament you going to be at this weekend? I'll find you. Say that about my team to my face.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Sure.
There's your crazy stories.
Sure. Man, that's crazy. All right. So,
And this was supposed to be just for fun, right?
Supposedly, yes.
well, but I tell you, man, you guys do such a good job with it. It is a great resource. I know we've used it, and it's something that the teams can really get some value out of to know, all right, so this is a pretty darn good team here, so maybe we need to use this pitcher or whatever it may be. It's
We're
a great
not going to
resource.
miss by much.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
And I agree.
You're at least close.
I agree. And I think, we've got a little bit of gripe where we're at in our 11U rankings
Sure.
here, but
Sure.
that's okay. We understand.
Sure.
All right. So,
But now if y'all were to move up, it's because we came on the show.
Right.
So now
no,
I'm gonna get my butt
exactly.
kicked again.
Now
Thanks,
we're
Dad.
now we're going to keep going down
Thanks,
further
Steve.
down in the list.
Thanks,
So,
Steve.
all right. So, where do you guys, John? I'm going to start with you. Where do you see travel ball going in the next 5 years?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think it's pretty. I don't know if it can get much more crazier. I don't know if that's the right terminology to say crazy. I guess I'll go backwards and say my concern is more and more each year is rec baseball. It's basically, it's getting so obsolete, and there's just so many teams out there.
Yeah.
Don and I talk about it all the time. I mean, he started this as a coach when there might have been 4 or 5 travel teams in the city, and there were some really darn good rec baseball all-stars. I mean, I started my umpiring high school baseball when I was 23, 24 years old, and I remember doing 14, 15-year-old big-time recreational all-star teams.
Right.
So they were great. And then when you got a travel baseball, this AAU or whatever you want to call it, Crosby Park in Middletown, 2003. I mean, you thought when you got a 12-year-old AAU game is what they would call them back then. This was like, man, this is better than 2/3 of the high school schedule. I get it. It was crazy. And then over the course of time, people started doing this, wanting to do this more and more, this travel baseball, get away from rec. honestly, Teague, I don't know, and I'll be interested to hear what Shawn has to say about it. I don't know if you can do much more. I mean, I guess you always could, but I mean, it's gotten, here we are in Kentucky, just with USSSA, and go look at Indiana. I mean, look how many teams are registered in Indiana.
Yeah, they got a ton.
But if you look at Kentucky, and we know there's probably another, 50 minimum per age that probably aren't even registered in the USSSA. I mean, there's probably 200-300 teams, and everybody, I hear it all the time. Well, there's too many teams, blah, blah, blah. Well, okay, but who people want to play it? How are you going to stop? Are you going to tell a team you can't do it? Well, no, and we all know. You guys have seen. We've all seen. There's teams we all say, man, I don't even know. I mean, why do they? I mean, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
They just play rec ball. Well, they don't want to.
Shawn, what are your thoughts here, Shawn?
I think it's going to continue to grow. I want the opportunity, and it may say it in the bio there of the Facebook group if you were to find it. I believe every player deserves a right to play more than 2 rec ball games a week. So the more teams, the better, in my opinion. Yes, it waters down teams and divisions, but the upper echelon teams are always going to be that. They're always going to be recruiting. They're always going to have tryouts. Whoever's the bigger and the baddest, who has the most marketing dollars, those teams are always going to be around for that group if you want to play major and AAA ball. The A teams, they don't have that all the time. So it's going to continue to grow, and here's what we're going to run into. We're running into it now. We're running into it with the high school level. We are running out of officials.
Yep.
And you can't have – last weekend, I believe we had 94, 99 teams, along with regionals in high school needing 32 guys. Mm-hmm. Well, if you look at the regional high school needing 32 umpires and us needing umpires for 94 teams, that's where you're getting. So I see it continue to grow, but I also see people is going to have to adapt. If we are in the lower tier of 7 and 8s, if you know age groups, they have 1 umpire. That's what's going to happen in the A divisions before long.
Yep.
The 9s, the 10s. It's already happening in high school ball. I mean, you can look at 12th region. I was on with a 12th region umpire not too long ago. John, same question. He got paid $140 to go stand behind the mound and call the game. Well, if you do that in varsity baseball, if you do that in a USSSA sanctioned tournament, in a AAA major, something like that, people would lose their minds.
Oh, they would absolutely lose their mind, for sure.
But that's where it's heading. That's where it's heading because the officials, the new young guys, just are not coming in the.
Well, they don't want to be screamed and yelled at the way some of these officials are.
They're not coming in the game.
They're not treated, let's say,
No.
I have a 27-year-old son that's been doing it recently. I mean, he has a career, has a business degree, going back to school for his master's. He's going to be a counselor. He's doing it, and he said, I've been abused more than,
Oh, I'm sure.
I never knew my mom was so many things.
Yeah.
So we probably have to we're going to continue to grow, but we're also going to have to make accommodations for people. We're going to have to change things.
It's interesting. That's a culture thing, kind of with police and everything else. So that's a much larger issue than just umpires. But I totally agree with you. I mean, I can certainly see that being an issue.
We cannot have games without umpires. That's my point.
Yeah,
that's true.
I totally agree. John, you want to weigh in on that at all?
No, I think Shawn hit it. I mean, I'm umpired for 24 years prior to this year. I mean, I still can do it. I'm still registered with the state, but I myself it's just been too busy. But what I've seen. I mean, you're hearing these stories, and I cringe when people they complain about umpires and they do this and that. I'm like, Shawn and I also have 15-year-old sons as well, and I feel like they have the kind of personalities that could handle it, and they could make some money over the summer. But why would they? You start. I mean, the young, they'd be stuck with younger kids. And guys know that can be the worst ones.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. All right, so my next question, what was the biggest challenge to running tournaments? But I would assume that's probably the answer.
I think quality is always my problem. Look, I'm a dad first.
Okay.
So I see the parent side of a tournament. I'm a coach second. So I see a coach's side of tournaments. I've been an umpire. I still umpire every now and then in our leagues. I see it from an umpire's perspective. I'm a tournament director. I can see it from a tournament.
So you've worn every hat.
I can wear every hat, and I can tell you the biggest challenge is I call it proper perspective. And in my opinion, we may get blown up after this. Baseball is the mother of all creations of baseball, of sports. It's my favorite sport. I think it's the mother of all. We respect our mothers around here. And that's where the challenges are coming. Nobody's happy anymore. We can't be happy as a parent. We can't be happy as a player, coach, tournament director. The biggest challenge is to find equal footing for everybody. Nobody's going to be happy every weekend, but we have to understand why they weren't happy. What can we do to fix it?
Sure.
That's your biggest challenge. The umpires are. Listen, me and John go out there and umpire all the time.
Oh yeah.
We'll throw the gear on. We'll go out there and do it.
Probably out of necessity more than anything.
We can go to one umpire. So the biggest challenge right now is, just making sure everything runs smooth.
John, how about you? Biggest challenge running tournaments?
There's several. I think putting together a schedule. I always put things on paper how I'd like to match up the teams every tournament. Whether we were running it independently, whether we're running it through U-Trip. But when Teague says, "Hey, John, I've got this guy playing soccer at 1 o'clock. I need you to play me at 9:11." Okay, well that's fine. Time request for one.
That's happened.
We got guys that police departments, fire departments that coach baseball teams. They may work the night shift. They haven't gone to bed yet, or they just, for whatever reason, we try to take that into consideration.
But you guys try to accommodate, right?
We do.
You try. I don't want to say you have to, but we try. There are certain tournaments that the Diamond Kings, the state tournament. You're just going to get what you get and don't throw a fit. But the 90% of the tournaments out there, we've got coaches out there that coach two different teams, a 10U team, a 12U team. We've got teams coming from 2 hours away that don't want to stay the night Friday night. These are all things you have to take into consideration. So you get all that written on paper, and then you look and you say, "Oh boy, now I've got to play the Wolves and Louisville Elite now. They played 7 times this year. Well, guess what? They both needed 9-11. And now what do I do?
Now they're playing again.
You have so Jalen's going to get 9-1.
Sure.
That's just one of many examples, and that can be a challenge.
So are these pool play games strictly random? It doesn't kind of sound like it.
Well,
do you try to match teams up that maybe haven't played each other before? Or?
It can't be.
Because you try to look and see. I do not, and James Weber, he does a lot of the scheduling too. He doesn't want to sit here and put a team together for the 7th time. In the director system, you can see how many times a team has played each other. You can see, I myself kind of know what's been going on too, whether it's a league or I don't remember what last week, the Strike and Floyd, they played the championship game down in E-Town. Well, they're going to play here. Well, yeah, I don't want them playing in pool if we're running a AAA or open tournament.
That makes sense.
Sometimes it happens. Just because of and a lot of the time it's because of time requests. And that's always a challenge. We don't ever want to get to the point where every tournament can be, you're just going to deal with it. Because if you do that, then
you're going to start losing people.
If you have a 40-team tournament, you definitely can't do that. If you got a 100-team tournament, we're going to be a little bit more stringent on that. I can't accommodate that. But I've said before, and I'll be real brief here. Every tournament I've run since I was independent at J-Town, then started with Shawn, and then doing this, there's always one thing I said, man, I wish I didn't do that, and then one thing I said, man, I wish we would have done that.
Makes sense.
Every turn.
And to answer your question, and you Trip, if we can put the teams in, and the system will do it for us.
Okay.
But then if
Then
it
you get those
generates you all
requests.
for the 10th time, then
you'll separate
You'll
it.
look at it.
We'll look at that and go, let's fix it. For the state tournament, you put it in the system. Sigler will put it in the system. Now, I'm going to be wrong about a little bit of this, how it works. You get matched up. Say you're playing a major and a AAA team. The major team that's the highest, it will put the points together, power rankings, and it will give you opponents that way. So the state tournament, like say Diamond Kings, we draw the opponents out of a hat live,
Right,
and
that's
everybody
absolutely
sees it.
random.
It's random as
yeah.
random can get. The other one is, obviously you push a button and whoever you get. And then you can go in and manually change that.
Right.
So, again, if somebody says, hey, I can't play at, till 2 o'clock. I mean, we have teams that say they can't play till 5. Well, the last game goes off at 2.
Right.
So what do you do?
Can't
Right.
do
You
anything about
say,
that.
all right, well, we have a morning pool and an afternoon pool. But then the afternoon pool, if you turn around and have a bad game, you're playing at 8 a.m., but you left the park at 10. So we deal with that as well.
You can't make everybody happy.
So we got a Thursday morning 8 a.m. game in E-Town for the state. Is that just simply because of how many teams and just having to try to get it all in?
Yes. I believe E-Town can hold, is it 84 teams, John?
I believe so.
84 teams to get the max games in, so you have to go back to Thursday. Thursday's always, the state tournament's always been a norm. I mean, I've played on Wednesday in the state, depending on how big it is.
Sure.
So, yes, it's always a Thursday through.
Gotcha. Interesting. All right, so we're talking state tournament. I want to know some favorites in some age divisions here. I want to know who you guys think are going to be potentially come out on top. And I'm going to start with my guy here. I'm going to start with Rick. And Rick, let's go 11U since it's what's near and dear to us. Who's your favorites in the 11U? So there's two different.
So I would say in
double A and triple A.
Well, there's an open too. Right?
Open, and double.
I mean, I would say J-Town Strike. The double A's. So there's so many good teams. It's so evenly matched. Obviously, I like our team.
Yeah,
I love
I do
the
too.
Wolves.
I do too.
Got a great shot. But
It's all about
there's a lot of
pitching.
good teams.
We have a situation right now where our best arm is injured, and so that's really going to affect what we do from a pitching standpoint. So that may affect us this weekend, but that's part of baseball, right? It's the next guy up.
Unfortunately.
Next guy up. Sean,
That's
go.
why you play the league and develop them.
Give me some favorites.
I do not have favorites.
You don't play favorites.
No, I do not have favorites. I wish everyone good luck, but in my mind going in, I normally know who the team to beat is, but I'm going to...
That's a political answer if I've ever heard one.
from picking...
That's a political...
I have teams in those age groups, so it's hard for me to...
So John, I'm going to throw out a 10U team at you. I think this Vipers Hammonds team is pretty solid, man. I say that from some personal knowledge. We've played them. Now we've beat them. We played them twice or once,
We
right?
played them last year.
We played them once. We came out victorious in a championship game. But man, that team's solid. They got pitching. They're good. It seems like that's a tough 10-year-old team to beat to me. But what do you like in that 10-year-old division?
Well, obviously, I'm going to be very partial to our area teams. Honestly, I have not seen the Leathernecks play. In the open division, there's 6 teams. The other side of the bracket has the EKY Crusaders, which if anybody's familiar with that team, they've got maybe the hardest throwing kid I've ever seen at our age group, and in Cooper Parman, and he can hit the ball 300 feet. Dusty will tell you, Dusty Allen, he'll tell you, they can be a little bit, have to ride on his back, but they're still a very, very good baseball team. I don't know a whole lot about the Evansville Leathernecks. I haven't seen them. So for me to give you a breakdown of them, I don't know. I love the New Albany team. Loved them since they were 7 or 8 years old. They've all been together.
You have them ranked number 1 right now.
I have them ranked number 1. I'll be honest with you. I think now what'll happen is Hammonds is over on the other side of the bracket. I'm gonna say they're probably the team to beat out of the Pool B, so they'll be a 1 seed. EKY Crusaders, New Albany Lightning, one of those. I would be interested to see. They're going to have to play Hammonds in a semifinal, so you're going to have. It's going to come down to. I like if New Albany, I think right now probably top to bottom has the best team. I think, but like I said,
but if the Crusaders keeps that pitcher to play Hammonds, makes it through that game, could be a different story.
It's tough. I mean, I don't know though. They've got some good arms. I don't know if they have top to bottom pitching wise what New Albany and Hammonds do. And again, I wish I knew enough about the Leathernecks. I wish I knew enough about Indiana Bulls, and that's a great program. Our team, I mean, we'll fight, we'll compete. We might be a little outmatched a little bit. We'll fight. We don't have the big gun arms that some of these other teams have. We have. I think our best pitchers right now are probably our 2 little left-handers.
Now, John, what team is that?
Derby City Baseball.
Okay.
So, but at the end of the day, I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go with Hammonds. I think they probably have a chip on their shoulder. I think they've been playing. I know they've had a couple of injuries off and on, but I think they do take those rankings pretty. They take them personally.
They do take them personally.
Against EKY, nothing against New Albany. You can play those 3 teams 10 times, and there'll be a different winner. It'll be 3, 4, 3, and 3 every time.
No,
yeah, I've seen Hammonds take those rankings very personally.
Oh, yes, they do. They take everything personally.
Well, I will tell you, I've received multiple emails and calls that the Leathernecks will be the best 10-year-old team that we see this year. So,
okay.
Oh, that'll be interesting to see.
Again, I'm not picking them.
All right.
That's what I hear.
All right. Well, hey, so it looks like the 10-year-old division is going to be
very competitive.
Now, any of these other divisions, as far as I tell you what, if you get a chance, and the kid blows my mind, but the kid that plays shortstop for the Cage King Wild Things, he's fun to watch, man. The kid can flat out play. He's got a unique style to him. He's got some weird things he does, that way he hops around the field before every pitch, but man, the kid can play, and they've got some studs on that team. They're fun to watch. But Shawn, is there any other of these teams in some of these age divisions, if you get an opportunity to go see, you should see them? Anybody stick out to you?
I think if you look at the 9U division, I like Vipers Reynolds. I think that's a very well coached team. They've got a lot of good players on them. I like the NV Stars. I think they're 4 or 5 in the rankings.
And they got a stud 11U team too.
Yeah, they're very good. I like those age groups. I love the Wild Things. I think they're great. I like the Louisville Storm. I think they're great. Teams like that, I wouldn't bet against them.
Sure.
But I'm not betting on them either. So I always take the field. I mean, the bottom line is
I'm with you though. That makes sense.
You have to beat everybody that's in the tournament.
Yeah.
And you're starting Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
You have to win the games you're in Thursday to make it to Sunday.
Oh, no doubt about it.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's
I want to get your opinion on the Diamond Kings real quick, but before we get to that, something kind of just came up. We have been told now. We're actually here in a couple of weeks. We're going down to play in the World Series deal in Panama. So Panama City. We're really excited about that. But as a Wolves program, we haven't really traveled a whole lot outside of an hour. We try to stick close for our parents' sake. But we talked to a lot of these coaches, like Jalen with Louisville Elite, Brian with the Indiana Stars. They seem to think when they go out of town that they get better games here locally than they do in some of these tournaments in these other cities.
Well, I can tell you that's absolutely true. Perspective. A 2006 World Series that my oldest son played in, and we'll brag about it, we won. There was 4 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
4 in 2006. Now they're every weekend.
Right.
So your competition level has to be different when you have a lot of teams. So a lot of teams are going in certain weekends. You can go to Cooperstown. My youngest son, we went to Cooperstown, and we weren't as good as 75% of the teams if we would have played in Dreams Park, but we were better than 75% at the All-Star Village. So it really just depends on
Interesting.
where you're going, what week you're going, because I can tell you there's plenty of people that send to me, hey, we won this World Series. Hey, we won this weekend. But then the next week go 0-3 here. So,
right.
yes, it really just depends. And keep in mind, you know what you're playing here. You know the competition level.
Sure. And gosh, even to the point where, I mean, we know what certain kids are going to do when they're up to the plate. So there's a certain scouting level there too.
Well, and those rankings help out, like you said.
It
gives you a database to say where these teams are kind of lining up.
Now, nationally, you can look at that. You can look on the U-Trip sites and go. But keep in mind, I still laugh about this to this day. I mean, we were down Metro Council, Jim King, God rest his soul.
Great person.
He was a great backer of me when I was at Germantown, and I coached one of his grandsons. I mean, great man.
And I tell you, well, don't let me. His brother John right now is battling cancer, and it's pretty bad. So prayers for John.
Yes, definitely sorry to hear that. But Jim was a great man, and he had us down when he was Metro Council president. And I laugh to this day about it. He's giving all the kids a certificate to the city because it was a big deal back then. You win one. There's only 4. You get the certificate from the city. You finish top in the nation. And Jim's reading off all of our accomplishments. And I'll never forget it. I wish I had a video of this. He's reading it and he goes, "Y'all won the World Series, but you finished 6th in the nation. How does that work?"
Right.
And I said, "Well, Jim, we are AA team. There's AAA, there's majors. They get more points. A team, you can only go on U-Trip power rankings and points so much because a team in Florida can play 20, and go 0-3 in every tournament, but get 75 points to 25 to 75 points per.
And then they get all these points.
And then they're ranked highest in the nation. So there is a little skew to it.
Or you play single A ball and get a ton of points and then move up. And then all of a sudden you got all these points in double A.
And you're above. Yes. And you could be number 1 in the state and be team in a year and stuff like that. But, the thing is we try to make sure it's all on equal playing field. So that way, yes, a team can get a team of the year. For their hard work, because no matter what they did in A ball, they worked hard to get those points and those.
Sure.
They practiced just as hard as everybody else. So we try that to help a little bit, but that 6th in the nation still cracks me up because we weren't 6th in the nation. We were probably 606th in the nation.
Right.
I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have beat Tennessee and Florida teams like we did. We had a North Carolina group in ours that was 50-0, and we were the 10 seed coming out. And we were supposed to play in the next game. They got beat. Yay us,
lucky, right?
Yeah,
so
it worked out.
We roll through. They hadn't been beaten all year. There was an age group. Then that age group in 2006, it froze. So if you were 11 the year before, you stayed 11 that year if you wanted to. So that's when the little league age changed, and you started seeing 13-year-olds in Williamsport.
Yep.
So they kept all. They would have all been 12. They were all 11. They didn't get lost one game all
Interesting.
year. We wouldn't have beat that team.
Yeah, but see, that's kind of how it rolls. All right, let's talk about Diamond Kings. So obviously that's something that we think is pretty cool, how you do the invitations, and you really try to make it a top, high-end event. It's really all the better teams. Tell me where Diamond Kings came from. Give me the backstory.
Again,
Shawn.
I played ball. My oldest son played ball. There was a lot of invitation-only tournaments.
Yep.
They used to be, it would be the J-Town Invitational.
Sure.
The East Louisville Sports Invitational. I would invite 5 coaches, and we'd go, and we'd play each other. Now, as it gets bigger, you don't get those top-tier teams in here every weekend. So, there's always somebody. Y'all follow the page. There's always somebody that says, "Hey, let's get this group together. Hey, let's get
the top 10 together and play."
Let's get the top 10. Yeah. So the idea came from let's look at the top 20 in every age group, invite them, and then there's no excuse. We're inviting you the year before the tournament starts.
Yeah, sure.
Now schedules change. You may go, someplace, and you have to drop out.
Yeah.
But I give you the opportunity to say, I want to play the top 20 teams in this particular state.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes. Now
You branched out to other states too, neighboring states,
well,
Illinois.
We bring in. We've reached out. We reach out to everybody through the U-Trip system. Now that we're part of U-Trip, it's even bigger because we have a bigger base to say, hey, we have the Illinois Gators coming in, I believe, in a couple age groups, and they're great. Southern Illinois Sluggers. I think both of their teams won their divisions last year. They're coming back. So it's a big variety of, we invite everybody that we know, then we invite through the U-Trip system, and we hit the top tier teams, and then they register online and they're here. We do single A and double A now.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, your division is your division.
Sure.
So there's a top A team somewhere.
Sure.
So, we invite those guys, and we try to limit it to 12 and under. That's what we feel like. We will branch out 13 and the 15. We just throw it on there and say, email it out and say, hey, come on. But we do. I mean, it's a live. I mean, we post on there, and if you accept or decline,
it's pretty cool, man.
It's there. So everybody, and we don't take it down.
The ring's awesome looking. I don't know who designed the ring, but the ring's so cool looking.
James Weber.
Okay.
James Weber.
Yeah, the ring looks killer.
It's great. It's great.
Well, we're hoping, so we weren't invited this year for that top 25, and honestly, we were in Panama that week, but we're hoping we get that invitation next year. And we've had a really great season this year from our 11U standpoint, so I think we'll hopefully we'll be in that conversation. Let me ask you one more question on this ranking thing. I have to ask, and I hope I'm not opening a can of worms here, but have you guys ever considered having coaches vote?
Yes, and we do take coaches' opinions into account. So if a coach reaches out to me, or they played a team 2 times in a weekend, I'll reach out and say, hey, give me the gist of it. The problem with it is, I think it gets skewed on what coaches play that weekend. So you played in Louisville against 6 or 8 teams. Somebody's down in Central Kentucky playing 6 or 8 teams. Well, they go, oh man, we just played this team. I mean, they're not even in the top 25. We give them a vote. But yes, we have kicked that around a coach's poll. Yes, but caveat: you're not allowed to vote for your own team or somebody in your own organization.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So if you had 2 Wolves teams in 11U, you wouldn't be able to vote.
I'd be all in on that. And I think from an 11U standpoint, we could probably do a pretty good little poll and leaving ourselves out. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. John, what do you think? Is that something we can push you guys to do at some point?
Well, I can tell you, I ask coaches. Now, does that mean we're, going to the extent of what you...
just a straight poll, just straight votes.
Yeah, counting votes.
That. I mean, like I said, I use the voices of about usually as many as 1 to as many as 3 different coaches.
Makes
in
sense.
One case, parent who is, I think, this parent probably is the most detailed of all of them in the 12U. But yeah, I don't think there's any problem. I mean, just like, the coaches poll in football, coaches poll in basketball. I mean, we don't have writers, so it's not like we can go out there and have an AP poll and have people following.
But you'd have coaches that would participate for sure.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Not like college baseball where there's like 6 different polls.
Just going there and, you guys are going to take it seriously. I know with college football and basketball, the SID just, you think Nick Saban really cares about doing that poll? No.
Yeah.
But I know with you guys, it's very, there's a lot at stake for it. I think it would be.
Yeah, there's a lot of coaches that care, I think.
Well, we're going to announce it right now. Let's do it. I mean,
I tell you what,
more the merrier.
So obviously we're sitting in what is Talgrace Marketing, which is a marketing agency I own, and we do digital development. So I will come up with something that's a digital way for you guys to do this, to where coaches can get on, put in their ranking, and some sort of program that'll make it easy on you guys. So I am committing to that right now.
You got no excuse now.
I'm committing to that right now.
There you go.
All right, Shawn. Before we leave, every podcast we like to give a good drill, and we've had some really, really good ones. Our last few. Do you have a drill that you've used when you're coaching that you just felt like was just a great drill for practices?
Yes, I thought about it yesterday a lot. Everybody normally focuses on, hitting drills, fielding drills. One that has always worked for me, because we've all been in this situation. how many times have you had a ball hit back to the pitcher with bases loaded or runners on second and third and him throw the ball away?
Sure.
So one of the drills that I do is I take a bucket and I sit on the bucket at home plate, and I have my pitchers act like they're throwing a baseball. The ball goes back wherever they're at, and we're telling them where to throw. So without any hesitation, they're going to first, they're going to second, they're going to third. The ball's hit back to them.
Going home.
They're going home, yes. If a ball's hit back to them, they're spinning around, throwing to second base. It's game repetition. And I know some coaches will say, well, they're already pitching, they're bullpenning, they're doing this. Find a day every week where a pitcher can work on throwing to a bag and pretending to turn double, triple plays, throw it home, cutting a runner down. I do that 2 or 3 times a week with different pitchers. It becomes elementary to them to get a ball hit back to them, spin around, throw it to second base for a double play. Because how many times in youth baseball do you see somebody go easy, 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 and they throw it in the stands?
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, I know, colleges and I'm sure high schools, top level programs, they have pitchers fielding only practice.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
They concentrate on their pitchers fielding balls.
I do it 24/7, and sometimes I institute the pitcher will throw it to third, and then I'll have the third baseman, I'll yell first, and he'll throw it across first. So sometimes we'll institute that, but I can't stress that enough. A pitcher has to be a fielder, especially 12 and under. Pitchers aren't fielders in high school and above, but they are fielders.
Well, I tell you what, I don't know. So a good family friend of mine, her son is Adam Elliott, who's a pitcher for the Louisville baseball team. And Adam Elliott's a lefty, throws at mid-80s. He has got a ton of pro looks because of how well he fields.
Oh, sure.
And he's considered the best fielder when it comes from after he pitches it. He's a really great fielder.
That's fantastic.
And that is a valuable skill even at the professional level to be able to field as a pitcher. So that was an awesome suggestion, awesome drill. Rick, before we wrap this up, our team played in Saraland this past weekend in Columbus. What was your opinions of Saraland?
Just me personally, my family likes to go camping. So this is an awesome campground as well as some awesome baseball fields. A lot of them are all turf, infields. So we had a great time, us personally, because we were able to camp there and go play baseball. Great complex. We had, baseball wise, we ran into a good team and we weren't playing well at the time. And, a couple things happened and it just is what it is. Sometimes you don't play good. But
we would certainly recommend going if you have an opportunity to go to Saraland and play.
If you got a chance to play at Saraland, it's good. It's turf. Mm-hmm. Maybe not as nice as E-Town, but it's right there.
It's not as nice as E-Town. It's not even close as nice as E-Town. It's I like playing on turf because you don't have to worry about a little bit of rain, ruining your time and stuff like that. So I definitely recommend playing in Saraland if you get the chance. John, Shawn, thank you guys so much for being here. I think we gave a ton of great knowledge. I think people are really going to enjoy this podcast. John, thank you.
My pleasure. And keep doing what you guys are doing, Keith.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We will.
Idea you guys have put together. Really, really beneficial for travel baseball around Louisville. Great job.
And look, we want to be a resource, right? So we're trying to give drills. We're trying to give just things that coaches and parents can listen to and actually get some value out of. Shawn, thanks for being here, man. We really appreciate it.
Thank you all. Thanks for getting my face out there so everybody can find me at the state tournament this week.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You know who to look for now.
You got some gripe. You know where to find Shawn. Don't forget Guardian Baseball. You can find their website at guardianbaseball.com. That's GUARDIAN baseball.com. You're going to get better prices. You have better products. Check out Guardian. Like I said, here in the near future, we're going to give some product away. We're going to have some promo codes where you get some discounts.
Stay tuned.
It was fun. Stay tuned.